Regular agenda item number 1. Julie?
Public hearing, the Your Voice, Our Future project, and request to tentatively adopt the Your Voice, Our Future 90% plan.
And then after the staff report, this is a public hearing, so I'll open it up.
Mayor Highmath and members of the Town Council, thank you for having us here again tonight. My name is Elisa Hamblin. I'm the Long Range Principal Planner with the Development and Infrastructure Services Department. I'm excited to discuss the project with you again, and I'm happy to see so many people in the audience that get a chance to hear about it as well. A lot of work has been completed in the last 2 years, and we're at a really exciting and critical juncture for the project. Tonight, we're asking you for tentative adoption of the 90% draft plan. I would like to take just a moment to recognize 6 of the Your Voice committee members that have been selected by their committees to represent their work, and include from the Community Committee, Tom Gribb and Marilyn Lane, from the Environment Committee, Bob Swope and Bob Milkey, and from the Development Committee, Bill Adler and Mike Shepik. 3 of those committee members will be helping with the presentation in just a little bit. I would also like to recognize there's many other committee members that are here in the audience tonight. Thank you for attending and supporting the project. The Your Voice, Our Future project set out to identify what the community values and chart a plan of action to get there. We, as we all know, are a community of excellence which constantly strives for ways to improve. This plan is an update to the town's community plan, which is commonly referred to as a general plan. Our previous general plan was adopted almost exactly 10 years ago in 2005 and reflects the directions of that period in time. The state does require an update every 10 years, but an action by council tonight will serve as meeting that requirement. An update to the plan was also needed due to the changes in the community's demographics, and this plan covers many topics of importance which will guide the town's future over the next 10 years. The Your Voice, Our Future project was set out into 3 phases. Phase 1 started in 2013 and was called Let's Talk. It was the information gathering phase. We talked to people at events, took surveys, and created a foundation with the vision and guiding principles. In phase 2, Let's Think, we pulled together committees to make some hard decisions. We're at the end of phase 2 right now, and that is truly a great milestone for us. In phase 3, which will be coming up in the next year, we will be going back out to the community to share information about the plan before seeking the final approval by voters in the town of Oro Valley next November. In phase 1, we went to the people where they live, work, shop, and play. We made every effort to make engagement with the people and the project meaningful and accessible. At our many community events, we collected thousands of comments. We had extensive media coverage to help spread the word. We used news articles, school newspapers, and social media. Together, that information set a clear foundation and a direction for us. One of the key components of that was our surveys. In order to gather information from people in the community, we used 4 different survey methods. This gave us not only statistically projectable and balanced data, but also an opportunity for broad community participation. And we really did have hundreds of people that participated. The directions from these surveys affirmed what Oro Valley residents value most, including public safety, the natural beauty, and the sense of community. Since 2005, we've seen a little bit of a shift in how people think of Oro Valley. At one time, we thought of ourselves as a rural community, but now this new directions we received from the survey and the town's vision and guiding principles told us that Oro Valley thinks of itself as a complete community with its own distinct character, a special place, and strive to have the services that meet the needs of all the residents. Priorities were consistent across all our surveys, and the people also told us what to focus on in the future, which included managing development, maintaining safety, and increasing opportunities for employment and other amenities. These directions shaped the vision and guiding principles, which answer the question, what Oro Valley should be like in 10 years and beyond. Key values, as I've mentioned, like safety, natural beauty, and community are repeated again and again. The vision and guiding principles provide high-level guidance and allow us to move forward, and they reflect the community's voice and are the foundation of the plan before you tonight. In phase 2, we brought together many committee members to actually build the plan. You can see from the numbers up on the screen how much work really went into phase 2, but I really want to emphasize the work of the committee members. There was 41 committee members, residents of Oro Valley, who dedicated many, many hours over the course of a total of 29 committee meetings to help build this plan of action, which includes a total of 25 goals, 77 policies, and 163 actions. The Your Voice committees truly accomplished a great amount of work, and these members on the committees were recruited through an open application process to ensure balance and diversity. We had committee members ranging from high school students to retirees, from professionals to stay-at-home parents, from recent transplants to 30-year residents, and together they collectively were challenged to be thorough, proactive, and collaborative, all while working with that vision and guiding principles from phase 1. Through the many meetings, there was not always agreement on everything, but there was certainly a healthy debate, and the committee members really dove into their work. What you have before you tonight is the 90% draft of the plan. There are a lot of steps to get there, as we've discussed before. There was many committee drafts before we got to the 30% version this last April. And over the last 5 months, that was refined into the 90% version, which is here before you tonight. This draft was truly inspired and shaped by the community. It was written for the community, and its language, themes, organization, and graphics are all designed to engage people to use this action-oriented plan. The plan itself, which is before you tonight, was built off of the vision and guiding principles. The main chapters lay out the community's goals, policies, and actions, and they tell us what we strive for and the path to get there. Chapter 6 is a unique feature of the plan, as it outlines specific actions to take to achieve those goals and policies. As you may remember, one of our committee members, Bill Adler, presented as part of our item at the last council meeting. He unfortunately is not able to be here tonight, so I'm going to share a few of his points and strive to do them justice. This is truly a community process that started with the vision and guiding principles, and it was filtered through every level of the plan. And a good example that Bill shared previously is, in a scenario, perhaps you may have a case before you at some point in the future, and you may wonder how the general plan applies to it. If you were considering a commercial land use that was right next to a residential area, there's a guiding principle, a goal, a policy, and an action that could all guide you in making that decision. For instance, there's a guiding principle that says, manage how we grow and maintain high design standards. There's a goal that speaks to effective transitions between neighborhoods and the uses that are around them. There's a policy about diverse land uses and the effectively transitioning in scale and density adjacent to neighborhoods. And there's even an action about updating land use regulations to define and incorporate effective compatibility standards. So you can see how this can be a very practical tool to use as you are reviewing cases in the future. Again, one of the points I believe our committee member Bill Adler would make is that this plan is forward-thinking. Bill was involved in a number of general plan efforts in the past, and sometimes we've played catch-up, but this plan is different. It's forward-looking. It looks to the future and what we want as a community. It all started with the vision and guiding principles that answered that question of what Oro Valley should be like in 10 years and beyond. Now, to help present more about the plan, I do have a few committee members here in the audience that are going to speak. We will hear first from Marilyn Lane from the Community Committee, then by Bob Swope from the Environment Committee, and lastly, Mike Shepik, who will present for the Development Committee.
Thank you, Elisa. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Town Council members. I am Marilyn Lane, an Oro Valley resident, and represent the community committee part of this project. We had 13 members. They were, as Lisa mentioned, different ages and gender and perspectives, and it was a long process. I think we were really, truly represented, though, the concerns and the desires of all the people of the community. The collection of data was amazing, and I really, really think the process was excellent in gathering the wishes and desires of the entire community. There was some conflict amongst the members of the committee. And there was some expressed negativity, just as there were in the concerns expressed by the people in the community in general. There was concern, first of all, about the wording. We did a lot of wordsmithing. What is a policy? What are some actions? What are the differences? So that was very important. There was also some concern by some members that in wording these recommendations, how would they be received by the town leaders, and how would they be implemented? So we were very careful to try to give the best recommendations we could. We did reach consensus, and we did come out with 10 goals and 32 policies. So I'd like to direct your attention to slide number 1, the community goals. There were 3 areas. One was the economy, and we wanted to be sure that we were financially viable, first of all, and that the businesses that we wanted to attract were appropriate for the community, because indeed we were a complete community, not a bedroom community, and we wanted all of our needs to be met as much as possible within the community. We wanted certainly a healthy lifestyle for all ages. We wanted neighborhoods. Again and again we heard how important neighborhoods were as gathering places that were walkable, that they were pedestrian friendly, that there was shade, green, health, and we wanted to be sure that they were available for all. Lifelong learning, which is one of my areas of interest, was certainly part of that. And for seniors, I think to go beyond bingo and health issues and have some intellectual stimulation. Mr. Waters is nodding. Yes. And town services, again, for all ages. So there's advocacy for both youth and seniors. Buildings and facilities, again, for all members of our community. And slide number 2, we have the vision and the guiding principles. Safety, of course, was number 1. We were all very concerned when people ask about Oro Valley and why is this such a special place. You know, for the millennials, a sense of place, a place in which they live, is even more important than where they work. And so I think this Oro Valley really meets the criteria for being a special place. It has a community identity. And part of that is a concern for the arts and for culture and our history. And again, this is one of my areas of interest. High quality employment, that it's family friendly. Again, opportunities for families to live and to grow and to enjoy one another. The quality of schools is important, and we hope for closer cooperation between the town and the school district, and the importance of lifelong learning from preschool on into our old age. Again, parks and recreation for everyone, and financial stability. So it was a very rewarding experience. It was an opportunity to meet very interesting people. The staff was wonderful. They gave us great guidance. We again kept going back to the vision, the guiding principles, and all of the data that was collected from the community. So I want to thank you for the opportunity. I think you're hearing the voices of the community, and we hope that you will implement our recommendations, so we will all have a great future together in Oro Valley. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Bob Swope, resident of Oro Valley and a member of the Environment Committee. Excuse me. The input we received from the residents of the town during the Phase 1 community outreach program indicated to us that the residents of the town highly valued the desert landscape, the unique wildlife and vegetation, our scenic views, and clean air and water. And they indicated that they wanted to preserve and protect these environmental assets for future generations. Based on that input, the Environmental Committee began its work by identifying 3 guiding principles that influenced our work throughout the process of developing the environment section of the plan. And those 3 guiding principles are, as shown here, the preserve the scenic beauty and environment, keep the unique community as a special place, and promote conservation of natural resources. The Environment Committee focused on 4 essential components of our environment, and we organized our goals, our policies, and our supporting actions around these 4 topic areas. The first component are the Sonoran Desert resources. I'm referring here to open spaces, wildlife and their habitats, native vegetation, environmentally sensitive areas, dark skies, and our distinctive scenic character. The second component of our environment are the water resources, and specifically the source and supply of safe, reliable water to meet our long-term needs. The third component of our environment are cultural resources, meaning the archaeological sites, the historic structures, and culturally significant places that help define the character and heritage of our community. The fourth component of our environment is what we called the clean environment, and it refers to energy usage, renewable and alternative energy sources, waste management, and air quality. I think the takeaway message regarding the goals and policies and the 60 actions that translate the vision in the goals and policies to more concrete courses of action over the next 10 years is that the Environmental Committee was intent on 1, preserving and protecting our significant desert and cultural resources, 2, avoiding or minimizing adverse effects to these resources, 3, utilizing conservation techniques to reduce groundwater usage and maximize the use of alternative water sources, and lastly, 4th, have the town lead by example in its facilities and operations and encourage the rest of the community through increased public education and awareness in terms of greater energy efficiency, waste minimization, and reduced air pollution. In conclusion, through the implementation of the proposed actions, the committee believes that our varied environmental resources can be preserved and protected, and thus maintain and enhance the assets, the environmental assets of our community that the residents have indicated to us clearly throughout the process that they so highly value. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor Hiremath and members of the council, my name is Mike Shuppick. I am a Oro Valley resident, and I was a member of the Development Committee. I briefly reviewed the material in Chapter 5 of the Your Voice, Our Future draft at your session on October 21st. And we went over the development goals briefly, land use and design, and the subset sections of that particular element, the development and growth areas and special planning areas, and the infrastructure, including community services, utilities, and the transportation and circulation. Last time I spent a little bit more time on the land use map and talked a bit about that. We'll do that just briefly again in a moment. As you recall, as you may recall, I hope you recall, I stressed in my presentation to you on the 21st that the Development Committee, as did all 3 of the committees, and you've already heard it from them, focused first upon the vision and guiding principles that came from citizens as a result of the extensive outreach process that was conducted earlier. I explained that I was extremely proud that the plan truly represents the values expressed by the community in the outreach process, and that this is not our work as committees, but it's their work. And I think we need very strongly to remember that. That's where this basically comes from. The guiding principles we focused on are on the slide there. Community identity, natural resources, how we grow, maintaining high design standards, and thinking about minimizing traffic and increasing ways to get around town. On October 21st, I commented on the land use map and the process for amending the plan that was a part of the Development Committee's work. As I stated, after voters approved the plan in November of 2016 election, the goals, policies, and actions contained in Chapter 5 will serve as the framework for all future development in Oro Valley, including any areas subsequently annexed by the town. It will also govern the process for amending the plan into the future until a subsequent general plan is established as required by state law. No property owner will have their rights reduced from what they currently enjoy as a result of the adoption of the land use map, and almost any change in the property rights defined by the map will be governed by the amendment process that's set forth in Chapter 7.4 of the plan. In the amendment process, the interests of a particular property owner will be subject to examination in the context of the interests of the community at large, because the property owner did not have a legal right to have another land use designation applied to their property, which may align more with their interests than if they want to use the property for a different purpose. As a part of the amendment process, it's appropriate and necessary that the interests of the community be seriously taken into consideration. Doing so is important to ensure that a reasonable balance continues to exist with respect to all of the guiding principles that are a part of the plan the community endorsed when the plan was adopted through the election process. If an amendment is authorized, that authorization should mean that a reasonable balance of the guiding principles is still being maintained. If it is not authorized, that should mean that doing so would have somehow negatively impacted the interests of the town as a whole. As I did last time, I want to thank you for the opportunity to address you this evening, and appreciate your support. Thank you.
Thank you.
Before continuing with just a few more items of my presentation, I really just want to thank those committee members that participated. They truly represented the work of their groups very well, and I'm very appreciative for their participation. In Chapter 6 of the plan, as I've previously mentioned, we have outlined specific actions to fulfill the desires of the community. These actions go all the way back to the vision and guiding principles and line up with the plan's goals and policies. These actions really demonstrate a commitment to carrying the plan forward. It's not a plan that's just going to sit on the shelf. It's something that we're going to see results from in the community for years to come. Each action includes a time frame within the next 10 years that the work will be started, and also identifies the town department that will be responsible for working on that action. They will be implemented through various mechanisms, which may include the town's strategic plan, department work plans, and the annual budgeting process. There's still a lot more work to be done, and I, for one, am excited about it. In sum, the plan before you tonight is accessible, and it reflects the voice of the people. It affirms those key values that I hit before, like safety, natural beauty, and community. This plan aims to be user-friendly and live on through combined community action in the years to come. Now, just as a reminder of where we have held 3 meetings with the Planning and Zoning Commission, and at their last meeting on October 20th, they unanimously voted to forward a recommendation to the Town Council for tentative adoption of the plan. This recommendation included 1 condition and 2 minor modifications, which were offered by the Planning and Zoning Commission to further clarify the work of the Your Voice committees and do not change the intent or substantial work already completed. These items are included in your materials tonight. Tonight, we're here at this public hearing to ask you for the tentative adoption of the plan. Tentative adoption being offered on this version will give us a few things. First, it recognizes the substantial work that has been completed by the Your Voice committees. Second, it allows for continued clarification and refinement to fill in the last 10% of the plan over the next year. And lastly, action tonight serves to meet the 10-year legally required timeframe set by state law. This sets us up to do the work of Phase 3, where we'll be back out in the community talking to people about the plan. At the end of Phase 3, a final version of the plan will be prepared, which will be presented to the Planning and Zoning Commission and the Town Council in late summer of 2016 before proceeding to the public vote in November of next year. Tonight, again, we're asking for tentative adoption of the plan with the acknowledgement that we do still have work to do. There's 10% left of the plan to fill in with the community's help. This adoption is important on many levels that I've already mentioned, but it's key within the 10-year time frame for the plan. So thank you again for having us here tonight. Thank you for your time and your attention. I would again like to acknowledge the countless residents who have helped with this plan over the last 2 years. It's been really amazing to be a part of that. This also includes a scoping committee, a communications advisory committee, the Your Voice volunteers, and the Your Voice community environment and development committees, as well as many others who help spread the word and share the ideas for the future of Oro Valley. Thank you. And I also wish to acknowledge the support of 2 members of council in particular, Joe Hornett and Mike Zinkin, who served as members of an oversight committee, which provided feedback on the process and making sure we were reaching people in the community. For those of you in the audience, please check out our project website. It also includes a link to the plan itself, and keep us in mind for next year. If you have a group or an event you'd like us to come to, we'll be there. There's a sign-up sheet in the back of this room tonight, which if you'd like to get on our project mailing list, please include your name, and we will keep you updated with all the happenings. With that, we're willing to answer any questions or offer clarification on any items we've presented here tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to open the public hearing. There are no speakers, so I'll close the public hearing. Vice Mayor Waters?
Alyssa, I'd like to revisit something we talked about at the last time. In addition to our declaration, this is a wonderful document and just a fabulous exhibition of community outreach, which has been recognized in other places besides Oro Valley. There have been a couple, you referred to no longer considered a rural community, but a master plan community. Ms. Lane came up and said we're not a bedroom community, but the mayor made reference to wording under the unique community identity as a special place with a small town feel. And we brought up the possibility that perhaps that definition could be revisited somehow. And has it, or will it, or is that part of the 10% on the back end?
Mayor Hiremath and Vice Mayor Waters, members of the council, we did have a little bit of discussion on that item at the last town council meeting, and I offered a little bit of clarification, which I will repeat here tonight, which is that I believe the intent of that wording was to represent the feeling that people in Oro Valley have about their community, that it's a really special place, and small town meaning they know their neighbors and they recognize people at the grocery store, and they like that about Oro Valley. I believe the conclusion at the previous council meeting was that that discussion was adequate, but I'm willing to hear if there's a different direction.
I just thought the effort to say what the community is not had greater emphasis than what the community is. As a special place, but maybe a small thing, I don't know. But the mayor brought it up, I had the same feeling.
Okay.
And so that's why I'm bringing it up now.
Okay.
Any other council questions? With that, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember Hornet.
I move to endorse the Your Voice, Our Future 90% plan as written in Attachment 1 with the condition and modifications as written in Attachment 2.
Second.
I think Councilmember Zinkin seconded it, correct?
That's correct, sir.
Okay, thank you. With that, any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0.